This Thursday edition of Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Right now, with promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. What's your sport? Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, maybe even wrestling, maybe even boxing. Whatever it is, you can get it at firstroundcollectibles.com. And like I said, with the promo code Sports Addict, you get 10% off. They still have sales items up from their Christmas sale, up to 50% off. And with our promo code, you get an additional 10% off, whether it's a sales item or a regular priced item. You get 10% off with the promo code Sports Addict. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never.
And good morning on a Thursday on Total Apex Sports, Sports Addict Live. We are Pucks Across Borders. Only 5 games on the ice last night, boys, but a lot to talk about. But first, at the top of your screen, you see him on Total Apex Sports talking NFL, talking college hoops, talking NBA. You read him. You read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics, also winners and whiners. Andre, how you feeling on a Thursday morning?
I'm great today. Rangers play the Devils.
Mm.
Knicks play the Sixers. In spring training baseball. I'm excited. It's a good day.
We're back in every way. That's right. It's a little Pucks Across Borders doubleheader today. We got Rangers, Devils, Leafs play Vegas in the late part of the slate. At the bottom of your screen, you read him talk about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics. John, how you feeling on a Thursday, bro? Good to see you.
Good to see you guys, man. Bottom of the screen, bottom of the standings right now for my Devils of the 3 of us playing tonight. Need the game desperately, so I'm excited and nervous at the same time. Always get up for Devils Rangers, but there's a lot of stakes for this one.
Yeah, there's no doubt that this is of the 3 of us and our teams. This is a way bigger game for you than any of us. That's 100% accurate. Well, there's 11 games on the slate tonight, so let's waste zero time and get into what we took away from the action last night. Andre, we'll start with you, man. What did you see in the NHL last night?
I saw a thriller in Alberta. That Bruins Oilers game was crazy. I was thinking through the first 2 periods. I was like, man, these Bruins, like, you can tell the difference between the goaltending, the defense. Like, Edmonton has to work so much harder for goals. I don't know if they're really ready to compete at this level in the come playoff time. I don't know if they can bang with the big boys to have that guy in the back of the net. It really solidified for me when they had a chance to cut it to 1 headed into the third period, and they spent like 3 straight minutes in the Bruins zone. Nothing to show for it. And I was like, it's over. And then third period starts, they tie it up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. They have McDavid, they have Draisaitl, they have this crazy offense. They can do whatever they want. Obviously, the game goes 5-5 into overtime. Really incredible overtime with all that skill on the ice. Bruins take it 6-5 on the road. Huge 2 points for them. They needed it more than the Oilers, I would say, just based on standings and morale. But phenomenal hockey game, a must watch. I feel like there's been a few of those in the past 7 days, but if you're gonna show someone a hockey game to like
Mm.
get them invested, I think that one. If you're picking from this season, I think that game is up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to do a deep dive over the whole season, but to me, off the top of my mind, that's the best game of the year. I think that game had everything. And as somebody who constantly rags on the overtime and what that's become, that was a phenomenal overtime period, like you said. That it was super exciting, some huge saves back and forth. It was great. A little side note. So Louis DeBrusque, Jake DeBrusque's father, he calls the Oilers games on the ice level for Sportsnet. He called the game last night, and he pulled out this like coupon thing that I guess he wrote for Jake DeBrusque back when he was like a kid. That was like 1 goal, 1 assist, or 30 push-ups. And he was interviewing Jake DeBrusque before the game and pulled it out, and it looked like it was from like 20 years ago. He pulled it out. Sure enough, Jake DeBrusque gets a goal and an assist. Seeing Louis DeBrusque talk about it after the game, just like watching your kid go out there and have a game. He's had a pretty up and down year, not a great year by his standards, but that was a pretty cool kind of side moment to see father calling his kid's game and ended up winning it in overtime. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, you're right, Andre. Phenomenal hockey game. John, what about you, man? What did you take away from the NHL yesterday?
Good takeaway. The Bruins Oilers definitely lived up to the billing last night's. My takeaways focused more off the ice. We talked about this a few days ago, but I'm going to circle back to it this morning because the Stadium Series ratings just came out. I think either last night or this morning. I saw it on social media and it jumped out at me. The numbers were pretty impressive. And how about New Jersey representing the Stadium Series in proper fashion? The average ratings I read from the combined 2 games was 1.37 million people, and that's apparently up 21% from last year's Stadium Series. Now, full disclaimer, I don't think last year's Stadium Series was the most enticing to the casual viewer. It was Carolina and Washington in Raleigh, and
Yeah.
I believe it was at NC State's football stadium. So again, you don't really get an extremely notable venue either to sell it. So I think having it in the New York area, New York, New Jersey area helped this time around for sure. But still, I think we talked about it before, not to beat a dead horse. Both games lived up to the hype. Both were very engaging. And I think a lot of locals felt this way, at least. Stadium Series showed that New York hockey fans are on the map. New York, New Jersey, for that matter. Like we could show up when we have to, because it tends to be a lesser talked about sport in this area. So especially with the Devils and Islanders, sometimes people forget they have fan bases. So in the New York area at least. So I think I was very impressed by these numbers. Very happy to represent New Jersey and the Devils for that matter. Of course, the Rangers Islanders had slightly higher numbers if we're comparing the 2 games. I think your game, Andre, was up by 38% going individually from last year's Stadium Series. One of the most notable numbers I saw from this as well was they put out social media stats for the Stadium Series too. I believe engagements were up 79% compared to last year, and impressions up 94%. So
That's crazy.
much bigger social media presence this time around, it appears. So all around, I think I just wanted to do a takeaway, basically confirming that this year's Stadium Series was a success statistically.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool for sure. And I mean, you had what 160,000 people in there over the course of 2 days. Plus all so yeah, a huge win for the NHL. Listen, my takeaway, boys. No disrespect to New Jersey, no disrespect to the Oilers and the Bruins, but being from the center of the hockey universe. Everybody knows that. I say that facetiously, of course. Austin Matthews hits 50 goals last night. And not only does he hit 50, and I know this as a holder, a proud holder of a Matthews 2+ goal ticket, he gets another goal to get up to 51. And I mean, that one wasn't impressive. He deflected it off of his neck, basically, to get his 51st goal. But listen, I think this is a for real conversation. All right. Toronto's played 55 games. 55. How many games is that left? 27. Everyone's talking about him hitting 70. He's on pace for 76. Would it be crazy if he hit 75 plus goals this year? 27. That means he would have to get what? 24 goals in 27 games? He has 51 and 54. I think 70 at this point. And it's really funny to have a season where, last year he had 40 goals and it was widely talked about as a down year, not himself. And he scored 40. Now he has 51. And if he hits 60 in the context of this year, it's going to be a disappointment. Like, it's going to be like, oh, he only got 60, like 20 whatever games left. He already has 51. Just an incredible thing. I talked about on the show yesterday that we just need to stop worrying about the playoffs for 2 seconds, stop worrying about the fourth line, stop worrying about the third string goalie, and just appreciate what we get to watch 3 times a week in Austin Matthews. And he did not disappoint. The Leafs, on the other hand, that was a sketchy win if I ever saw one, but I'll talk more about that when we talk about the Leafs and Vegas later on in the show. But got to give a shout out. Austin Matthews in Arizona, to also add, in his home state, hitting 50 and 51. The conversation this morning, is he the GLOAT, greatest Leaf of all time? I think Biz Nasty coined that phrase, the GLOAT. So that's the conversation. Everyone my age is saying like, yeah. And then everybody not my age is saying, don't forget Dave Keon. And so it's a fun conversation happening over here. And super stoked that we get to watch this guy for the next 5 years or 4, whatever it is. Cherishing every moment. Moving on to our bad beats before we get into the action tonight. John, we'll start with you, man. What's your bad beat from last night?
Two-parter for this one. I think the first I should just throw out there, I hope people haven't been following me this week with my best bets because they're not hitting this week. They're just not hitting at all. Last night I took another L, went 0-3, and I'm gonna center around that as my bad beat. Final score wasn't that close. I think it was just the flow of the game. Talk about it in this segment. The Ducks, Blue Jackets. First of all, it's my fault for even putting a mediocre team like the Ducks as my best bets. I don't know what I was thinking yesterday.
I think mediocre is a bit generous there, John.
Exactly. You're further emphasizing my point there. So, Ducks, Blue Jackets. After the first period, I'll just be honest, I thought that bet was already lost. But the second period, the Ducks came rolling back. They scored 4 goals in the second period. I believe by that intermission, the game was tied at 4. So it looked like my bet had some life. It looked maybe
I think we got a
Little-
man down.
sorry,
a little
I
bit
cut out.
Oh, you're good, man. You're back?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, sorry, I think I cut out for a second there.
All good.
So I think I left off at the end of the second period. Third period, Blue Jackets just shut them down once again, scored 3 goals to make the final score in that game 7-4. So the reason why I say it's a bad beat is because, well, the Ducks kind of teased me a little bit there. They were down by multiple goals in the first period, have a 4-goal second period, which are the only goals they scored that entire game, and they give up 3 more as soon as they tie it. So Ducks won the realist back in for the ratings, but couldn't hang on to the win. My bad beat. The Ducks just giving me false hope.
Yeah. But you know what though, man? I was right there with you. I didn't have them as my best bet, but I picked them to win that game too. I like Columbus back to back, lifeless the night before. It was the right pick, but another tough L for you this week. Andre and I talked about it. If you go 0 for 5 this week, we're gonna have to reconsider some things with you. But we'll talk more about that.
Might have to get kicked off the best bet segment.
Yeah, we'll have to kick you off before we get to the best bets. But nah, man, this is gambling, bro. Sometimes we get cold, but we always get hot again. It happens, bro. It happens. I'll go next. That Buffalo Montreal game, kind of twofold. I picked Buffalo minus 1.5. They ended up winning the game, not covering. Man, my mind is blanking on how you pronounce his name now. S.O.S. I know I'm butchering that, but I picked him for over 2.5 shots, and he only got 1. So double bad beat for me. 2 L's on the night, and both of them in the same game. Other than that, another pretty good night for your boy, man. I'm not gonna lie. This is a good week for me. So fade John, follow me. Next week, fade me, follow John. That's how gambling
works.
That's how gambling works. Andre, over to you, man. What's your bad beat from last night?
Well, I just want to say, just a quick sidetrack back to Anaheim for the Jackets Ducks game. All 11 goals in that one were scored on the same end of the ice. That's what we call a tilted ice up down there.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I noticed that, 4 going this way, then another 4 going this way, and then the 3 in the third.
That's super interesting. That's funny.
Yeah. John, so basically what I'm trying to say is, John, you didn't stand a chance. Nature was against you on that one.
Yeah. That's the universe. Yeah.
I didn't really have any crazy bad beats from yesterday. I guess you could say Oilers money line, but they even came back to force a point, so I wouldn't consider that a bad beat. Instead, I'm going to pick on DraftKings because I don't forget. And yesterday, when we talked about Flyers Blackhawks, the under was 5.5. It was plus 110. I was all over it. And 30 minutes later, when we do best bets, it was under 6. It was minus 115. I had to pivot. And you might be thinking, Andre, you got your best bets right. Over in Bruins Oilers, it cruised to victory. I don't care. I had what I wanted. It was right there. And I had to pick. I had the same odds. I still won. It doesn't matter. DraftKings, don't play with me. If you're going to switch it, you already have the odds in the system. Just let me alternate total 5.5. I don't care.
Yes.
AM. Just let me do it.
Yeah.
The world revolves around the East Coast. It revolves around me needing to bet on hockey at 10 in the morning. Get it together. Get it together.
If New York Rangers fans and Toronto Maple Leaf fans can't bet on what they want at 9 in the morning, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Like, we're the center.
One of the biggest fan bases in the league right there.
100%. I mean, you saw Mold Arena last night. Leaf fans. Friggin', did you guys see? I don't know if we talked about it yesterday or not. So Matthew Nyes is also from Arizona, and he bought like 60 tickets for his friends and family last night. And he chirped to the media. He was like, because they asked him, like, do you have friends and family coming? And he's like, yeah, I got like 60 tickets, which is basically a whole section at that arena. Just like straight up goofing on Mullet Arena. And I mean, from a cool like viewer standpoint, it's a cool watch seeing that. But there is a larger conversation that's not meant to have today. But if you're a player in the NHL and you play in like Madison Square Garden, Scotiabank Arena, TD Garden, and then you go home to Mullet Arena, you got to think like, what are we doing? What am I doing here? So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. All right, let's move on. Full night, as I said, in the NHL tonight, starting with, actually, before we do that, a quick update. Boston wins last night. Florida does not play. Boston jumps over them to retake first place in the Atlantic Division. Philadelphia wins, solidifying their spot in third in the Met. More importantly, in the West, Edmonton with the win, 2 points back, or with the 1 point rather, 2 points back of Vegas for second. And I don't know how much home ice advantage really matters anymore. I will say Vegas seems like an insane place to play. Like there's something about Vegas that just seems different. And we'll see if that matters. So a little bit of jockeying for position there. All right. Another big game, big night when it comes to the standings. Almost everybody playing tonight, starting with Dallas in Ottawa. Dallas minus 162 road favorites. Ottawa plus 136 at home. Minus 1.5 on the puck line at plus 150 are the Stars. Plus 1.5 are the Ottawa Senators at minus 180. The over is 6.5 at minus 142. And the under is plus 120. John, let's start with you on this one, man. What do you see in this game in my nation's capital tonight?
There we go. This is an interesting one because I can't even use my usual logic here because both teams are playing their third game in 4 days. So I don't think either team is the most fresh heading into this. Ottawa was down in Florida for a couple of games, played well in both of those games, I think at least. Getting a surprising win over Tampa and got to overtime against the Panthers. Dallas has had a tough couple of games, losing to Boston and the Rangers. Competitive in both, but came up just short in both on that East Coast road trip. So I not sure what to make of both of these teams here. But I gotta say, boys, I'm feeling the under 6.5.
Really?
Because two of the highest scoring teams in the league, yes. But like I said, both of them playing 3 times in 4 days. Both of them probably going to have tired legs. Both of them have been traveling quite a bit. Dallas is on a road trip. Ottawa's just getting back from a road trip all the way down south. So I don't feel like they're going to be the most energetic out there tonight. So I feel like this is a rare time in this type of matchup where the under has some value. I'm going to go with a sneaky play there.
Yeah, that's really interesting because the first thing that I thought when I saw this, I don't want to get too crazy and get the alternate 7.5, but when I saw that the over was minus 142, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like Ottawa's
does.
They beat Tampa 4-2 on Monday, and they lost to Florida 3-2 the other night. Can they allow 3 goals or less 2 days or 3 games in a row? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, and like Ottinger, I'm not sure if he's in net tonight or not. But either way, like he's been good, not great this year. So yeah, the under definitely value wise, you're getting a ton of value there. Kind of scares me a little bit. I think, I don't know. For me, Dallas minus 1.5 seems like the obvious play. I think I'll take a little bit less risk and just go with the 60-minute line. I think, listen, Ottawa played 2 really close competitive games. If you've been watching this team at all this year, which I have been, they're due for a game where their heads fall off their bodies and they just get spanked. And so I'm expecting that tonight. Dallas, still a very good team. It's super weird, man. I feel like, John, we've both kind of said this a lot. Like, you look at Dallas and you just kind of think about them as a team, and without looking at the stats, without watching any games, in your brain, you're just kind of like, I don't know, like they're good, but there's still some holes. But then you look at the numbers, and this team is a very, very good hockey team. 6-2-2 in their last 10 games. I think they come out tonight. Really tough loss against the Rangers. Really tough loss against the Bruins. I do think that they bounce back tonight and get the victory. I like the minus 1.5. I do. But with the value that you're getting, plus 105 on the 60-minute line, I feel comfortable enough taking that tonight. And for the total, I'm kind of staying away from it. I do think it's minus 142 for a reason, but I do understand your logic on taking the under. Andre, what about you, man? What do you see here?
Yeah, John, you made a really compelling case for the under because, like Mark, when I looked at this total, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I'll wait for it to jump up to 7 at some point. I mean, these teams are both built on scoring. Obviously, Stars lead the league in scoring. The Senators, pretty much the only thing they do well is score 5-on-5. So, I mean, you'd have to think, especially in Ottawa, that it would turn into a Senators game, which is just up and down the ice, trading goals, whoever scores last wins type of deal. Which is kind of why I've been feeling the Senators all day. I just can't shake it. There's just something about this game. Maybe it's because the Stars have lost 3 in a row, 2 straight on the road. Nearing the end of this road trip, might be a little tired, a little more so than the Senators, who played much better at home, just played 2 tough games in Florida and competed. So I feel like the Senators are going to pull this one out. I can't shake that feeling. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they've been a better team than Dallas all season, but
of course
they're on home ice. And for what it's worth, they have been a much better team at home this year. So I think I'm going to take that Senators money line.
Yeah, and I mean, I said it myself, like, they play well when it doesn't matter. That's just the way that they've been for the last few years. That's a fact. Also, shout out to the Belleville Senators, the AHL affiliate. I'm hanging out with you guys next Friday. So I'll let you guys know if I see any rising star in the Ottawa Senators system when I watch their AHL team next weekend. All right, moving on to Detroit, plus 120, underdogs at home, minus 142 are the Colorado Avalanche on the road. Minus 1.5 for the Avs is plus 160. Plus 1.5 for the Red Wings is minus 192. The over is 6.5. Also highly juiced at minus 142. The under is 6.5. Also paying plus 120. Andre, we'll start with you here, man. What do you see in this one? Sorry, bro. Having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was me, but I can't hear him either.
No, I muted myself. That's my bad. Like John with the last game, this game to me seems like one where the under might be the better play than the sneaky or the obvious over. The Avalanche on the road in Denver or not Detroit. There's too many D's and C's and S's and God.
Careful, someone could clip that.
Yeah, it's just not going great. Detroit's back home. Finally, they've been better at keeping the puck out of the net on their home ice. They've been a better team on their home ice. Colorado, in pretty much every way, has been significantly better at home. Obviously, they're on the road now. Scoring might be down for them. I know the Canucks are a really good team. They only scored 3 goals in that game. Their last home road game, they scored 3 against Tampa. They got shut out a few days before that in Sunrise. 2 games in Riley, 2 goals in Riley, 1 goal in the Garden. Like, they haven't been traveling. They haven't been consistently scoring on the road lately. And even against Detroit, that kind of gives me concern. And they're good enough in net where they can slow down the Red Wings also. So I would consider the under in this game. I'm probably going to stay away from the total. And I think I'm definitely going to take the Avalanche 60-minute line, though. I've really, for what I know, they're going on the road, and I just kind of bash them on the road, but I do like the way they've been playing lately. And they're trying to keep up with whatever you want with Dallas in the standings. So they need all the 2 points they can get. I understand the Red Wings are in the wild card hunt, but they're not nearly as complete or competitive as Colorado.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think Colorado is the better team. Like you, the total is kind of I think I like the under 2, but both these two teams, they can score 5 whenever they want. And Gorgiev, like, he's a good goaltender, not great, and he's had a couple, like, he had a great game the other day against Vancouver. And I feel like back-to-back complete games from him is a little bit out of reach. But I do agree with you. Like you said about Ottawa, when we're talking about the last game, man, I feel a certain way about Detroit. I think that they come in. I think they've been playing. I think they've finally figured out who they are. And I think they have finally, especially with Patrick Kane back and playing consistently with them, I feel like they finally have an identity. And I really like this Detroit team right now. I think they're playing really well. Colorado beat Arizona on Sunday, beat Vancouver on Tuesday. But they weren't playing too great before that 2-game stretch. And I don't know. There's something about Detroit tonight that's speaking to me that I really like. A little long shot here. Lucas Raymond has 3 goals over his last 5 games. He's plus 290 to score tonight. So follow the trend, a little long shot goal score. I really like that one. But yeah, I'm probably going to stay away from the total too. But I like the Wings tonight, plus money at home. And I think that, not that Colorado doesn't want to chase for the division title, but I feel like the desperation in Detroit is much sweatier. And the more that we kind of go on day after day, the more I think that Detroit and Tampa are going to be the wild card spots. As much as I want the Devils to make it for the sake of our show, I don't need John being depressed for 2.5 months in the playoffs, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. John, over to you, man. What do you see in this one? I know you're rooting for Colorado minus 3.5 tonight.
Yeah, Lee, you took the words right out of my mouth. My heart is rooting for Colorado, and getting down this stretch right now, it's going to be very tough for me to pick Detroit in anything because I'm heavily rooting against them. I think you guys both touched on good points that are basing my pick here. Mark, your point is correct in my opinion that Detroit's feeling the heat. They got multiple teams on their tail now, not just the Devils, but after Tuesday, the Islanders are right behind them as well. I do think Detroit is the most shaky team of the 8 in the East in the playoffs too, and I think Detroit knows that. So there definitely has to be some internal pressure to keep getting points because they're probably the most inconsistent team of the top 8, and they're also the least proven. So I feel like they're gonna play with what you said, a sense of desperation that Colorado just doesn't have or need at the moment. Andre touched on a point I also agree with about this game, that where this game is being played. I think that heavily influences my pick as well. Colorado is like an insane home team. Andre mentioned that before, like 22-5 at home this year, under
Yeah,
500
it's
on the
disgusting.
road. Like, I think if this was in Colorado, I'd be picking Colorado, maybe even the puck line. But I think the fact that this game is being played in Detroit, this is going to say a lot coming from me because I really do not want to make this pick, but I agree with you guys. I'm leaning Detroit from a betting perspective. The value's there. I feel like these teams match up well enough where Detroit could steal it at home because Colorado doesn't really jump out at anything in this matchup, like with scoring, power play, and penalty kill. They're nearly even goaltending too. So I don't know. I think this is just a game Detroit can steal.
That's a true professional right there. Fighting his fandom, making the pick that he feels. That's right. Golf clap.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Thank you,
loved
guys.
it. All right, let's move on. What's that?
That was tough.
I understand, man. I understand. It's super sweaty times right now, man. Let's move on to Washington, Tampa Bay in Tampa. Tampa is minus 198 favorites, which obviously Tampa's a better team, but I do find that kind of insane. Plus 164 on the road are the Capitals. The over is 6.5 at minus 105. The under is minus 115. Washington plus 1.5 is minus 148. Minus 1.5 for Tampa is plus 124. I don't really know right now where to lean from a gambling perspective with these two teams. I honestly might stay away from this game from a gambling perspective. It feels weird, man. Like Tampa got destroyed on Saturday against Florida, like humiliated. Then they lose a lifeless game, tried to push back, but they lost against Ottawa on Monday. Before that, they won 3 in a row. Then they lost 2, and they won 3 in a row before that. Like, they're just not a super consistent hockey team right now. I understand Sergachev is a massive loss, crushing for them. But at the same time, like, that performance that you had against Ottawa on Monday, like, even if you lost, like, to be down 3-0 to Ottawa before the, like, halfway through the game for a team that's trying to solidify their wild card spot, you just can't do it. And Washington, like, we talk about Nashville as the cockroaches of the NHL. Washington is like, hold my beer. Like, they're trying to claim the cockroach title, which isn't. It's a lot more flattering than it sounds, for sure. But they're coming off a really big win against the Devils, not just score wise, but in the standings, big win. They beat Montreal. They lost to Colorado and Vancouver last week, both really good teams. So yeah, I'm it's in Tampa. I think they've had 2 really lackluster performances. I'm gonna take the Lightning on the 60-minute line. You're paying some juice, minus 125. But would I be surprised if Washington wins this game? Absolutely not. I just think what I'm going to fall back on is you lose 9-2 to your state rivals. You lose 4-2 to a team that you should have beat 6-3. And you got to bounce back here. And so I'm counting on the bounce back from Tampa, but not 100% confident in it. from a gambling perspective, side note here, Ovechkin, how many in a row is this now for him? He's got 6 or 8 goals in 8 games, I believe.
Yeah.
I think 8 and 8. He's plus 155 tonight, so why not keep the good times rolling for Ovi? So give me some Ovi plus 155, and I'll take the Lightning minus 125 on the 60-minute line. John, we'll go to you next, man. What do you see here?
This kind of feels like I'm doubling down on this take, but I'm taking Tampa Bay puck line. I've already crowned Washington the cockroach of the NHL after Tuesday's performance. That's sitting fresh to me. But at the same time, it's like I know Washington did that against my team, but like I'm very skeptical they can do that kind of thing again. I'm very skeptical they can put up a ton of goals in 2 straight games. Not to mention Tampa Bay's lost their last 2 games, I believe both at home. And that's like not like the Lightning. They're a pretty good home team. Before those 2 losses, the Lightning were 18-5 and 3 at home, I believe. So they've dropped 2 to make it 18-7 and 3. Tampa Bay, I think they're too good of a team to keep playing like this. And Washington, they played a little above their level on Tuesday night, put it that way. I know they're cockroaches, but I don't expect them to show up again here. Tampa Bay is a much better scoring team as well, averaging their 7th in the NHL, averaging 3.39 goals a game. Washington's bottom 3, practically averaging a goal less per game at 2.48. Want to bring up the power play numbers on both sides as well. Tampa Bay's over 30% on the power play this year. Washington 16.3. So I know Washington looked pretty good on Tuesday nights. I know Tampa Bay's sliding a little bit, and I should want to pick against Tampa Bay here, considering the standings. But again, I'm going to go with my betting instinct here. Lightning bounce back puck line. I'll take them. Plus 124 on DraftKings too, I believe. So not terrible value there. What do you think, Ganja? What are you feeling here?
I'm pretty much right there with you. Amalie Arena, that's not the way Tampa plays in that building 90% of the time. And the fact that they still have a like 70 points percentage or just under after 2 brutal losses in that building, they're due for one, especially against this Capitals team. The Islanders, the Islanders are minus 22 in goal differential. The Blue Jackets are minus 41 in goal differential. The Capitals are closer to the Blue Jackets than they are the Islanders. They're minus 32 or minus 41 for the Blue Jackets. The Capitals are minus 32. They're not a good team. They're just not a good team. I refuse to believe it. So Lightning bounced back into Amalie Arena. They're way better than they have been the past couple of games. The Capitals are not what they were on Tuesday night. So that's where I'm at with it.
All right. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Moving on to the game of the night, at least according to Pucks Across Borders. Maybe not to the rest of the NHL, but on this show, it is the game of the night. New York Rangers are in New Jersey. The Devils are now minus 112. Rangers now minus 108. I got the Rangers at minus 102 this morning. If you haven't jumped, if you think the Rangers are going to win this game, jump on them now, because the rest of the world is now, no disrespect, John, but the rest of the world are seeing these lines now and saying, why are the Rangers underdogs in this spot? So if you think the Rangers are going to win, jump on those apps and get the Rangers now, because I guarantee you, not guarantee, 80% sure that they will be favored by puck drop. So you know what? as we do on the show, when it's a team that we are a fan of, the fan of that team starts the conversation. But since you're both fans of both teams playing tonight, why don't you both just talk at the same time and we'll try to decipher what who says what. You know what, John, out of sympathy, let's start with you.
I hope the Devils get more than a participation trophy tonight.
A ribbon.
No. Well, I think we all know who each other is picking in this game, so I'll just make a case for whoever's listening out there. I'm backing my team tonight. I think I have to. Two, I actually do think they're going to win tonight. I genuinely believe that. I do think the Devils can keep up offensively with the Rangers. They actually average more goals per game than New York. The power play is not too far behind. Both teams are pretty good at the power play, I'll say. Devils over 22%, Rangers over 26%. As far goaltending is really the main concern here. Rangers statistically are just much better at goaltending than, because they only allow 2.77 goals per game. Devils, let's just face it, they allow a lot more. But I think that number's a little skewed because the Devils, besides Tuesday night anyway, have been getting better with the goaltending. I do think Dawes just had an off night Tuesday night. Before that, he was playing pretty well. And I'm optimistic he can bounce back here. And I think that's why I'm leaning towards this pick as well. And also, we talked about desperation before with the Colorado-Detroit matchup. Think of very similar things going on here. Rangers, let's face it, they're really not that desperate to win this game. I think they already got the emotions out of them coming back on Sunday against the Islanders. And they had a good win on Tuesday as well. So no doubt they're playing good hockey going into this. Devils, though, I think they seem to play in streaks, New Jersey. So I'm hoping that loss is just a one-off because sometimes it is. I just get the feeling there's a sense of desperation when it comes to the Devils now. And we talked about it on yesterday's show. Good points by both of you with the upcoming schedule. These 3 games in the next 4 days for New Jersey are going to be very telling. I do think the Devils really need to win this game, especially if Detroit does end up, especially if I'm right about Detroit and Tampa Bay winning their games tonight. I feel like the Devils tend to step up to these occasions when their backs are against the wall, so to speak. And also, this is a big rivalry game. This is probably going to be a neutral house tonight at the Rock. A lot of Rangers fans tend to show up, but it tends to be a crazy environment on both sides. So I think this is just one of those games where the Devils feel like their backs are against the wall and they're going to wake up to a rivalry game and pull through. I like the way the Devils match up with the Rangers in general. Give me New Jersey tonight. I think there's a reason they're favorites.
I think when the Rangers play at Madison Square Garden, it's always a hot ticket. I feel like in New Jersey for a Rangers Devils game would be unbelievable. Like, I feel like that would be a really, really fun. Same with Rangers. Same with Rangers in the island too. Like, I bet, Rangers visiting any of those tri-state teams, I feel like that would just be unbelievable. What about you, Andre? What do you see here?
Well, I've started to hope that this team can put together a perfect month. And this is probably the hardest test towards that remaining. Last 4 games, this in Philly and then a back-to-back with Columbus. So if they get through this one, I'll feel really good about it. Like John, I don't think the Devils are a good matchup for the Rangers, but I love what this defense has been doing lately. Igor Shesterkin was fantastic against Dallas the other night. They're just, the offense is clicking. They didn't do anything crazy against Dallas, but they're doing really well. First time they went to Jersey this season, they did score 5 goals on 33 shots, I want to say, in that 5-3 win. That game was more competitive than 5-3. Like, it was a very tight game throughout. But the Rangers did pull out a win. in Jersey already this season, and I think they're playing better now than they were back then. Um, just in so many ways, I love what this team is doing right now. The bubble's got to burst eventually. No winning streak lasts forever, but I'm gonna ride the high. I'm gonna take my boys, obviously, and I think it's gonna be a higher scoring game because if there's one thing the Devils can do, win or lose, it's score. So over 6.5 and Rangers money line for me.
Yeah, I already tipped my hand. I already took the Rangers financially this morning. I think it just comes down to this. The defense and the goaltending, like you said, Andre. I just feel that the defense and the goaltending is just way more reliable with the Rangers right now. I think the Devils offensively can absolutely keep up in this game. But I don't know, like I was talking about Detroit and Tampa. The more that I watch these games, the more that I think they will be the wild card teams. And then a reason for that is, I mean, John, you know your team much better than I do, but that game against Washington the other night spoke to me. Like I feel like I feel like those games happen, but when you're in the back half of the season, they can't. And I just get, I don't know, I get nervous about it. The consistency of the goaltending and the consistency of the defense for the Rangers is what really worries me about this game for the Devils tonight. I think they can absolutely win. It's a rivalry game. You guys still have 3 more games, including tonight, to finish off the season. So, yeah, it will be really, really interesting to see, to say the least. Nico Hischier, where is it? Yeah, there it is. Plus 180 for him to score tonight. 4 goals in his last 5 games. I called him to score on Saturday against Philly, and he did. And I think he'll score again tonight. Plus 180 for Hischier. And I'm taking the Rangers. I already took the Rangers, but I'm taking the Rangers minus 108. That total is, there's a reason why it's minus 110 on both sides, right? That's a complete coin flip for me, and I'm staying away from it. All right, let's move on. Pittsburgh, hosting Montreal. Pittsburgh is minus 225 favorites at home. Montreal is plus 185. Minus 1.5 for Pittsburgh is plus 114. Plus 1.5 for Montreal is minus 135. The over is 6 at minus 120. The under is plus 100. Andre, we'll go right back to you, man. What do you see in this one?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, man.
You hit the nail on the head with that one. If they don't win this game, just stick a fork in them.
Done.
Just toss them aside.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else I need to add for this. The Canadians are playing very competitive hockey lately. I'm going to ignore who they've been playing lately. They've been fighting, they've been battling. But Penguins need this probably more than any other team on this schedule, honestly. I might say the Penguins need not only a win, but like we're here, like a statement win. So
dismantling. Yeah.
Yes. So relying on that, I'm going to take them minus 1.5 at plus 114. I'm going to take the under 6 just because I'm hoping, or for their sake, they should be hoping that Tristan Jarry, that defense absolutely crushes Montreal's dreams of scoring once, and the Canadians score once, they get mad about it. Don't let it happen again. So 4-1 win for the Penguins, maybe 5-1. I like the under 6.
So I owe a massive apology to the viewers over the last couple days. I've been meaning to throw this out there and I keep on forgetting, but today is the day I will not forget. Cole Caulfield has been absolutely like Oh, my computer just decided to. Am I here? I'm in there. Perfect. A little technical issues on Pucks Across Borders this morning. That's all right. Cole Caulfield in his last 5 games, 28 shots. 28 against Buffalo last night. He got 5 shots. Against Washington, he got 6. Against the Rangers, he got 6. Against Anaheim, he got 8. He is shooting like the lights out. Not necessarily scoring, only has 2 goals in that stretch, but 28 shots over the last 5 games on DraftKings. Now over 3.5 shots for him. I threw out Slavkovsky last night. I still really like his shot props. He's over 2.5 shots for plus 130 again. Didn't hit last night, but I do like that for him tonight. But Cole Caulfield over 3.5 is minus 135. 4 plus is minus 130, but 5 plus shots for Cole Caulfield is plus 170, and 6 plus shots is plus 380. And I don't love the 6 plus shots unless it's like Kucherov or Pasternak or something like that. But the facts are the facts. Like, he's hit 5 shots or more in 4 straight and 6 shots or more in 3 of those 4. He's shooting the puck at will right now. So I really, really like Cole Caulfield, his shot prop tonight. And I'm long-winded on the shot prop because Pittsburgh has to win this game, but I don't like the money line, clearly. I don't like the puck line, and the 60-minute line is super juiced. So there's nothing really, because you're absolutely right, Andre. They should win this game 4-1, 5-2. Like, they should blow the doors off, but I just don't know anymore what I'm getting from this team. I don't know if it's the fact that they're the Pittsburgh Penguins, or if it's the fact that Kyle Dubas is now their president and GM. So Toronto loves to kind of hate watch from a distance. But there's a lot of conversation about Pittsburgh happening here. And I'm really curious to see what happens in the future. But I really, really like Pittsburgh to win tonight. I do, but I don't trust the puck line personally. And the other options are too expensive for me. So I'm staying away from a total. I'm staying away from, I mean, the under 6 is kind of compelling at plus 100. Staying away from a side. I do think Pittsburgh will win, but like I said, I don't love the odds. However, Cole Caulfield, minus 135 for over 3.5 shots. I know it's a little juicy. And I guess if I'm going to take that minus 135, I can take the Pittsburgh 60-minute line at minus 140. But 5 plus shots for Cole Caulfield plus 170. That's been a trend that's been really interesting to watch. Also, I'll be remiss if I didn't say Sidney Crosby over or anytime goal is plus 105 for him. And for him to get over 3.5 shots is minus 130 as well. So anything Crosby, anything Caulfield, I'm here for. John, what do you see here?
Probably the worst game of the night, honestly, between Montreal and Pittsburgh. I'll be honest. I stuck a fork in Pittsburgh yesterday. I still think their season's already done. But you could stick another fork in them if they happen to lose this game, just for insurance. It's like just making sure it's really done. You know, I think it's one of those situations for Pittsburgh. Very surprised at how big of a favorite Pittsburgh is in this game. I do not think they deserve it at all. Like, in all honesty, I was almost ready to pick Montreal in this one, but I think the money line's scaring me a little bit here. Plus, because I do think this is really juiced up, which should be telling. But also, Montreal's on a back-to-back against one of the top goaltending teams, despite allowing 5 on Tuesday night in the NHL. So, not not so quick to jump on Montreal here. I think combined with the back-to-back versus goaltending matchup here, and the fact that these are two teams in the bottom quarter of the league in scoring, I'm going to go with the under 6 as my play in this game. I think I don't expect a lot of offense in this game. Like you guys said before, I wouldn't be shocked if Pittsburgh shuts out Montreal. Really wouldn't. I think this is going to be one of those shutout games or 2-1 games, something like that. I I feel good about that under 6. And fun fact, if Pittsburgh does somehow lose this game, Montreal and Buffalo are only going to have 2 less points than them. Where's the time gone? Where's the time gone in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's really fascinating from a like outsider perspective. Like, what's this team gonna do, man? There's so many questions, but we'll talk about that again in the future. Only a few games on Friday. Maybe we'll dive into it tomorrow. All right, moving on. Florida, Carolina, another game where I get like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Carolina, a very good team competing for the top of their division at home. I do think Florida should be favored in this game personally. That's why I already have a Florida ticket. I got it at plus money earlier, but Carolina is minus 118 at home. Minus 102 are the Panthers on the road. Minus 1.5 are the Hurricanes at plus 210. Plus 1.5 for Florida is minus 258. The over is 6 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. John, we'll go right back to you, man. What do you see in this one?
The game of the night. I think this is my most interesting matchup here. And I think this is interesting for pucks across borders purposes because I feel like this is the matchup where it's Mark's projected Eastern Conference champion versus mine because I still think Carolina is the best team, or maybe not even the best team. The team I think they're the team I think is coming out of the East right now.
Right.
I don't even know if I'd say the best team, just the team I feel like is going to come out of the East. Florida's playing the best hockey. I'll make that clear. I still can't shake this feeling about Carolina I've had all year with them. So I want to see what they're made of is what I'm trying to say because we've all touched on it. Florida's playing great hockey, and they're not afraid of road games at all. Florida has a great road record, actually. 20 wins this year away from Sunrise. And Carolina's notably been a better home team than a road team. We've touched on that before. They're under 500. Sorry. Yeah, they're a little bit better at home this year than on the road. This is going to be a very interesting matchup for Carolina. It's definitely a step up in goaltending class because Florida's second in the league in goals allowed. But Carolina, I've said it for a while, Carolina's really been stepping up in the goaltending department. They've gotten their act together, and now they're in the top 10 themselves in goals allowed. So, yeah, they're facing an elite opponent, but they're no slouch either. I do genuinely feel like they can keep up with Florida here. And also, I do think Carolina's I shouldn't say much better scoring team. I think they're the slightly better scoring team. They're a touch above Florida in goals per game. Slightly better power play at 27.7 versus 25.9. I just get the feeling this is kind of a measuring stick game for Carolina. Both of these teams are playing great going into this. Florida's won 6 straight, Carolina 3. I think it's a lot to ask for Florida to continue a winning streak like that against a team of this caliber. I feel like Carolina shows the NHL world what they're made of tonight and pulls this out. So I have the money line for them.
Yeah, some excellent points by you there. Andre, what do you see here, man?
There are 3 teams in the NHL entering today that have won 8 of their last 10 games. The Rangers, the Maple Leafs, the Hurricanes. One team has won 9 of their last 10 games, and it's the Panthers. I feel like the Panthers, I said it was either early this week or last week. I think they're playing the best hockey out of anyone right now. They're just on an absolute tear. And I don't really care who's in their way. I know they swept the Canes last postseason in the Eastern Conference Finals, but when Carolina had their chance at payback earlier this season, they lost 5-2. Clearly, revenge, that motivation didn't help them. Don't think it'll help them this time. Panthers are just phenomenal in every way. They're nearing the top in goal differential. They're now in the hunt for the President's Trophy. They're just doing everything right, home or away. Winning low-scoring games, winning high-scoring games. I think they can play any style. I think they can play anywhere. I don't know if I'm going to crown them as the Eastern Conference champions, but I think I would favor them to finish as the top seed in the East when the regular season ends. I think they're playing better than any Eastern Conference team right now, and there are 3 Eastern Conference teams that are also red hot. So I'm going to take the Panthers money line here at -102.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if there's a bad taste left in my mouth from earlier in the season. I don't know what it is. If it's the goaltending, I don't know. I am overlooking Carolina right now. Something about them I'm just not buying, and I'm not too sure why. I think you're absolutely right, John. I think they're a very good hockey team. They made it to the conference final last year. They've gone on deep playoff runs pretty consistently. There's just something about them that I'm not buying, and I don't know why. I honestly do think if they play Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs, which it looks like they will, I think Philly wins that series. Like I don't know what it is about this Carolina team. I'm just not buying it, and I honestly can't tell you why. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing crazy, deep like analytics. I don't know. It's just kind of how I feel about it. And Florida, yeah, man, like they're just they play with a grit and a bite that no other team, at least in the East, has. And I think the only team that can come close to it is either the Rangers or Boston. But I just think Philly or Florida, like I said, man, like I don't know if I said it on the pre-show or if I said it on the show, but I said they'll steal your milk money, pants you, and slap you in the face and just walk away without a care in the world. Like they just don't care. And I think Florida wins tonight. Is it as convincing as the 5-2 victory back in November? I don't know. I kind of like the under. What did you say, Andre? Under or over?
I didn't say a total.
Oh, okay.
I would avoid the total. I can see this game. I can see this game being high scoring. I can see it being low scoring.
Yeah.
Both teams are kind of malleable.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking under. I kind of feel under. What I will say,
I agree about the under.
Yeah, and what I will say to your point, John, like power play, Florida 6th power play in the league, Carolina 3rd. Penalty kill, Florida 4th, Carolina 3rd. Face-off percentage, Florida 10th, Carolina 7th. Goals for, Florida 12th, 8th. Goals against, 2nd, 9th. Like they're very, very close, at least statistically. I just think there's that like oomph that Florida has that almost no other team in the league has. So give me Florida -102. Or if you gamble at 7 a.m. like me at plus money, early bird gets the worm. That's right. Early bird gets the worm. All right, moving on. Still lots to get to. New York Islanders, St. Louis Blues. On the surface, not the most compelling game visually. That being said, a very important game. Like, very important game for both sides. The Islanders currently 4 points out of the wild card spot. St. Louis is tied with Nashville for the last wild card spot. 2 points ahead of Minnesota, 3 points ahead of both Seattle and Calgary. Both Seattle and Calgary and Nashville, for that matter, all play tonight. So really big game for the Blues. Minus 108 at home. Minus 112 are the Islanders on the road. Minus 1.5 for the Blues is plus 210. Plus 1.5 for the Islanders is minus 258. Oh, these plus puck lines are a joke. Over 6.5 is plus 102. Under 6.5 is minus 122. I don't know. I mean, from a gambling perspective, I have a soft spot for the Blues. I have some friends who are hardcore Islander fans. I would like to see the Islanders do well. It's nothing against them. I do have a soft spot for the Blues. Maybe it's because I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Jordan Kyrou. Maybe that's it. But I have a soft spot for that team. I mean, 4-3-3 are the Islanders over the last 10 games. Blues 6-4. Both teams just kind of middling around. Both teams not really making a strong case for themselves. I do think that the win against Pittsburgh the other night for the Islanders was huge, just because I feel like that loss against the Rangers was like demoralizing. Like to be up 4-1 in that game, especially the Stadium Series and the whole deal, and to end up losing it in overtime the way that they did. That game against Pittsburgh, that was a huge win for them. St. Louis, listen, both times they played Toronto over the last week, they've looked lifeless. I don't really know what to expect from this team. I think I am going to lean Islanders on the money line. However, at home, I don't know. I can see St. Louis winning this game. I think I would lean. I do think that I would lean Islanders on the money line. What I will say, going back to Jordan Kyrou, 4 goals in his last 5 games. He is plus 160 to score tonight. Brock Nelson, I apologize to you, Brock. I had you off of my roster on Monday, and you scored. Made me look like a fool. Or Sunday, rather. Made me look like a fool. But for him to score, he scored 3 goals in his last 5 games. He's plus 140 as well. Andre, we'll go to you, man. What do you see here?
I have rolled Blues here. I know some uninspiring games lately, but for what it's worth, they've been better at home all season. 16-11-1,
Yep.
plus 2 differential, and then you got the Islanders on the road, 10-11-5, and negative 14 differential. They're giving up 3.46 goals per game when they're the away team. And scoring is the issue for St. Louis primarily. Islanders going to make that a little easier. Islanders don't hold on to many leads. If they let the Blues hang around, come back, momentum will for sure be on St. Louis's side. This is kind of it's a weird game. But I'm going to trust home ice. I'm going to trust the Blues here, especially with that Islanders PK. That can definitely help the Blues muster some offense as well. That's really their biggest issue. The goaltending, the defense is average, slightly worse at home, but not noticeably. They can compete, though. It's just when the Islanders give them chances to score, they're going to realize they can actually win a game again, and it's going to help them out a lot. So,
what about you, John? What do you see here, bro?
I'm glad this game's not starting till 8 o'clock. I could actually at least catch the third period of it, and during commercial breaks during the Devils Rangers broadcasts. So this is good. This is low key an interesting one. On the surface, you wouldn't think so, but I feel like this has the highest stakes attached to it of any game tonight because of where both teams are in the playoff picture. I mean, St. Louis tied for last playoff spot, in the West. Islanders right there with the Devils, 4 points behind Detroit. Really need to keep winning to, especially because I'm pretty sure the Islanders really don't have tiebreakers with their ridiculous amount of overtime losses.
Yo, hold on a sec, John. It's funny that you say that because the other day I was looking at the standings and I couldn't believe what I saw. 14 overtime losses.
I know.
That's
Like, how many
crazy.
to put that in perspective, the Devils have 4 and they're tied
Yeah.
in points.
That 100%. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just noticed that.
No, that was worth bringing up.
If they won 3 of those games, they'd be in the playoff spot comfortably. I don't know comfortably, but they'd be in one.
They'd be in one at least over Tampa Bay and Detroit. Like,
yeah, man. Crazy.
That's amazing, honestly. And ironically, I guess you could also make the argument that managing to get a point in a lot of those games has kept them in it as long as they have been. But
yeah, chicken or the egg, John. Chicken or the egg. Very interesting.
I think the point we're trying to make in this back and forth is that the Islanders have had a very interesting story, to say the least, from an outsider perspective. Shout out to our boy Vin at Total Apex. He probably wants to pull his hair out this season from the Islanders.
Right.
Yeah. This game, though, I am leaning Islanders here, mainly because I think they have slightly more momentum heading into this than St. Louis. Andre's right about St. Louis being a better home team, but I really genuinely believe that Tuesday game was maybe the most important win of the year for the Islanders. After a heartbreaking loss, blowing a 4-1 lead on national television to your arch rivals, the fact that the Islanders bounced back and scored 5 goals against that Penguins defense and goaltending, I thought it said a lot about the Islanders and what they're made of. They're in Ross' tenure, the Islanders have really been a 500 team, not really too streaky. I feel like, I don't know, I'm getting the feeling that Tuesday win might be the start of something, might have lit a spark in that Isles team. Maybe they'll hang around a little bit. I also think it's slightly more important for the Islanders to win this game than the Blues. I don't know what it is today about me picking teams against my own interests, but I'm going to go with the Islanders here.
Like I said, man, very professional of you. Very professional of you. All right, moving on to Calgary. As always, gotta not chirp Andre, but kind of poke the fire a bit. His second team. It's been quite a romantic story, very notebook like, very up and down, back and forth, lots of drama, and it's been a really fascinating tale over the course of the last few months. Calgary -105 at home. Oh, I lost it here. All right, Calgary -105 at home. That has now moved to +102. +102 at home. Boston is -122 now on the road. They played that crazy game in Edmonton last night. I'll talk about what I think about this game later, but I will say that Calgary was at plus money earlier in the morning. And I may or may not have already taken that as well. And now that I say that out loud, I've already placed quite a few bets for a show that starts at 9 a.m. I've already placed or 9:30. I've already placed quite a few bets. But anyway, I digress. Calgary +102 at home. Boston -122. -1.5 for the Bruins is +205. +1.5 for the Flames is -250. The over is 5.5, -115. The under is -105. John, we'll go right back to you, man. What do you see in this game tonight? Does Boston have anything left is really the question, because that game last night was crazy.
To jump off that, my impression is no. I think Boston's had 2 emotional wins, 2 big wins the last 2 games against Dallas and Edmonton. And last night in particular was quite a wild game, winning in overtime. Yeah. And now they got to play back-to-back It's the third game in 4 days after, quite frankly, a very chaotic game that stole the spotlight yesterday. I don't know if Boston will get up for this game or not. Honestly, I'm questioning it. I think this is a good spot for Calgary to steal one. I feel like that city's gonna light it up in terms of fan atmosphere tonight with an original 16 coming to town. Um, I think this is more a fade Boston pick than a pro Calgary pick, mainly because of what you said. I don't get the feeling Boston has much left for this game tonight. I think they used everything they had to hang on to that victory against Edmonton, and they might come out a little sluggish tonight. Good opportunity for Calgary to take some much needed points. So, Flames money line, I like it.
Love it. Andre, what about you, bro? You riding with your boys or what?
Oh, 100%. I'm step by step with John. Pretty much is a fade Boston pick more than anything. Monday, overtime against Dallas in TD Garden. Then they have to go to Logan Airport, fly to Edmonton, where yesterday, 6-5 win in overtime against the Oilers. Crazy, crazy game. Tired legs. Then they have to travel south in Alberta before heading Calgary for tonight's game. That's 3 games, 4 days, 2 overtime games. I know they have arguably the top goaltending tandem in the NHL with Ullmark and Swayman, but I don't think that alone is enough to carry them to victory tonight with Ullmark in the net. Calgary just beat the Jets 6-3, kind of a streaky team. Recent losing streak, that big win. I think this is the start of a winning streak for them. So I like the Flames plus 102 here. Boston's going to be tired. They have to be. They're human, right?
I think so. The only thing that shies me away from Calgary a little bit is what you said about the goaltending. Swayman did play last night, which means Ullmark is playing tonight. And in my opinion, Ullmark is the better of the two. So that is something to look out for. But at the same time, I'm with you, man. That game last night was crazy. Up 4-1, up 5-4, 5-5 overtime. That overtime basically went the distance. Just an absolutely insane game. Very physical, very gritty game. Very back and forth. I think that game took a lot out of them. No doubt that they'll put up a fight. I kind of like the over just because I know like Ullmark's a good goaltender. I believe Markstrom's in net tonight, but he has been hard to rely on. If the over is 5.5 at -115, I kind of like the over. Just because like last night, clearly that Boston game went over. Dallas on Monday, like you mentioned, that game went over. The Kings game on Saturday, that game went over. Just a lot of close nail biter overs. 3 straight overtime games, by the way. 4 out of the last 5 have gone to overtime for Boston, plus 300 to go to overtime. Little side note. And for Calgary, I mean, they beat Winnipeg 6-3. They lose to Detroit 5-0. So that didn't go over, but they gave up 5 goals. That game against the Sharks, I believe that was 6-3 as well. So the last 3 games for the Flames have been barn burners as far as scoring goes, and same with the Bruins. So I think the over is a really good bet on the second night of a back-to-back for Boston, and I really like Calgary on that money line. And I'm a little bit surprised that money is coming in on Boston, but last night was a compelling night, so I guess I can see it a little bit. All right, Moving on to Vegas, the Toronto Maple Leafs, after a 6-3 win against the Coyotes last night, they are now in Las Vegas, minus 115 now. The odds have shifted, a little bit of money coming in on Toronto. Minus 115 are the Vegas Golden Knights at home. Minus 105 are the Maple Leafs on the road. The over is 6 at minus 115. The under is minus 105. Plus 1.5 for Toronto is minus 250. Minus 1.5 for Vegas is plus 205. So here's the deal. Second night of a back-to-back doesn't really concern me as much as what I'm about to say. That game last night against Vegas, or against the Coyotes, rather, Toronto goes up 3-0 very early. Austin Matthews scored the second goal of the game to get his 50th, and that was like just after the 5-minute mark of the first period. Within 5 minutes, that game was 2-0. Arizona did come back, make it 3-2, eventually 4-3. Toronto pulled away in the third period to beat the Coyotes 6-3. However, once they went up 3-0, the Leafs did. They were playing keep away, reeling and dealing. If you guys have watched the Canucks and you see Quinn Hughes and his crazy spinoramas at the blue line, when that team's really feeling itself, everybody on that team thinks that they're Quinn Hughes. Like Zadorov is doing spinoramas in his own end, and it's like, dude, enough. And that's what we saw last night from the Leafs. Just a lot of just trying to like dangle everybody and 3-0. Let's just play keep away and just overpassing. Now I'm impressed with the Leafs because they're up 3-0, then 3-2. Good teams find a way, like the Oilers on Monday, to win that game. So I'm happy with that. But last night's competition, like it was, they were just by far and away better than the Coyotes were. Even, pardon me, very much like the game against the Ducks on Saturday. Just so much better. And Vegas is not that. And so I'm a little bit concerned that even like, never mind the back-to-back thing, I'm a little bit concerned that the Coyotes were such less competition that now they're playing Vegas, and that first period is going to be a real smack in the face. So I have not, of all the bets that I've placed this morning, I've actually not bet on this game yet. I'm obviously would like to lean Toronto on the money line, but I think that Vegas is a good pick here, minus 115, just because from what I saw last night, they are a by far superior opponent than the Coyotes were, and I think it's going to catch Toronto a little bit off guard. I also think Morgan Riley, he is coming back from his 5-game suspension. They did not lose without him in the lineup, and Morgan Riley is the best defenseman on their team. I'm not going to do some crazy thing where they're better without him or whatever. However, the standings, it would tell you, I think they've been without him for 20 something games over the last 2 seasons, and they've only lost twice in that stretch. I think 2 games in regulation and 1 overtime loss. So anyway, my point is, I think they play differently when he's not in the lineup. I think that's going to take some adjustment. I probably will bet Toronto by the end of this night, but I do think that Vegas is the right pick at minus 115 on the money line. And I mean, I don't know. Do we want to go back to the well here? Austin Matthews minus 110 to score. Why not? Why not at this point? I also like Marchessault plus 135 too. All right. Enough for me. Andre, let's go to you, man. What do you see in this one?
I like the over 6 at minus 115 more than anything. Toronto's offense is kind of undeniable right now. All 5 games without Morgan Riley, at least 4 goals. I believe it was 27 total goals in the 5-game winning streak. So clicking, firing on all cylinders, whatever. Flipping to their defense, it is the second half of a back-to-back. Been better of late, but still an issue for the season. And this is a Vegas team with a 3-game losing streak on home ice. They're going to look for blood. They're going to look to get back in the win column into T-Mobile Arena. So the goals will come. I might avoid picking a side here. I kind of still feel like the Maple Leafs, I'm going to ride the hot hand if I had to. But Vegas is kind of overdue for a win, you would think, especially at home. I know they won recently, but that was in San Jose. So I'm going to avoid picking a side here. I'm just going to take the over 6.
That's a great point about the 3 straight home losses. That has to give at some point in time. But I will say, man, you're talking about riding the hot hand. I am very uncomfortable with how good I feel about this Maple Leafs team right now. Like, I don't like it at all. They've been looking really good. John, what about you, man? What do you see here?
To bring this kind of full circle, I think I'm going to complete us picking against our teams today. Besides Andre sitting out this one, I like Vegas in this game. Not only for the, I feel like this is a regress to the mean type of game. Not only on the Vegas side of things, but Toronto's won 5 straight games, and now they're going up against one of the best teams in the NHL. I feel like that has to give, and the part of the reason I'm picking them is not just because of that, because yes, Toronto's definitely the better scoring team, no doubt about it. I mean, first of all, they have Austin Matthews on that side, and their power play much better than Vegas, over 28% for Toronto. I think 19-20% for Vegas. But I like Vegas mainly because of the goaltending matchup here. I trust them more than the Leafs, honestly. Vegas only allows 2.73 goals a game. There's a big difference here because Toronto allows 3.13 per game. I feel like this is a good test for both sides because Toronto's an elite scoring team. Vegas, above average goaltending team for sure. Top quarter of the league, most likely.
Aiden Hill's the best goaltender in the league as of right now. Like,
yeah, I
not
trust
that
Aiden
he
Hill
is
more than anyone Toronto's going to put in net.
No disrespect to Martin Jones, but I agree with you.
Yeah, so I think my point is I think this is a good game. This is a good opportunity for things to just balance out. I feel like Vegas matches up well enough against Toronto, especially with a big home game. Rambling a little bit here, but that should be an interesting atmosphere. I'm wondering how many visitors Toronto's going to bring to that arena. I do like Vegas to win that game, though.
What I will say, 2 things, is I really hope that I'm in a better financial position the next time the Leafs play in Arizona and Vegas on back-to-back nights. I guarantee you there are Toronto people who were in Arizona last night who are at that game tonight. I promise you. And that is a back-to-back of a lifetime for a fan. Like, that's a good couple of days. They're not that far apart. You can go to both. Why not? And I'm sure the ticket to Arizona is like $10 and you get like a free popcorn or something.
You can
too.
Get some cheap flights there, especially hubs. All 3 of us
Sure.
live pretty close to a major hub.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, and the other thing that I will say, I forget, which is probably good because we've been going for over an hour and a half. So let's move on to Vancouver and Seattle. In Seattle, Vancouver minus 120. Let me just see if this has changed real quick. Vancouver is minus 125 now on the road. Sorry, John, no plus money for the Canucks tonight. Seattle plus 105 at home. The over is 6 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. Minus 1.5 for the Canucks is plus 195. Plus 1.5 for the Kraken is minus 238. John, we'll go back to you, man. What do you see here?
I have to admit, guys, I'm a little bit concerned about the Canucks right now. Not long-term concern, but like in more short-term concerned, I would say, because like they don't seem to be a reliable team to bet on at the moment. They're on a rough losing streak. They've been playing a lot of games lately. They're going up against a team that can match them, almost match them in goaltending.
Oh, lost him again.
Brutal day to be in Jersey. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I conked out there for a second.
Yeah, you did, but that's all right, bro.
No.
Go ahead.
I don't know when I timed out, but when in the middle of my speech, but Seattle, I'm saying
you're talking about some nonsense about how you don't trust Vancouver, which is the craziest thing I've heard all year. But go ahead.
Well, right now I don't. I mean, they're not. I think this is the most shaky time of the year for Vancouver. I mean, they just lost 3 straight games, so they're
for the first time all year.
I know, so they're arguably playing their worst hockey of the year. So
I suppose you're right. I guess I can't argue.
Like I said, I'm short-term concerned about Vancouver. Long-term, I do think they'll win their division and be fine. But right now, at this moment, I don't feel like I can rely on them. They're not playing great hockey. So until they figure this out, I think I'm gonna fade them for once and back Seattle here. I usually like to pick Vancouver plus money. I feel a little shaky about them getting minus money here with the way they're playing. I think Seattle can pull this out, especially this is a rivalry game too with a legit pucks across borders in real life. Give me Seattle money line here.
This is pucks across borders in real life. That's very, very good. I think that you're insane. I think Vancouver, this is an excellent, excellent bounce back spot. I think you lose to Minnesota when you are killing a 5-on-3 power play for like 19 minutes straight and the doors just fall off. You have your backup goaltender who's getting shelled in Minnesota, afternoon game. Things get weird, go off the rails. Then the next night, you have to go to Altitude Ball Arena, play Colorado. You contend in that game, play excellent the first 2 periods. Third period, Thatcher Demko can only do so much. Legs get tired. A really good team in Colorado beats you. You're inching closer and closer back to Vancouver. You're now in Seattle, and Seattle is fine, but Seattle, they're fine. Like I've kind of come to the conclusion that they are not what I thought they would be. I think they are what they are at this point. I think this is a perfect get right spot for Vancouver. A few days rest. You don't play on Wednesday. You get a little rest. I know that you're traveling to Seattle, but I really, really like Vancouver in this spot. I really, really do. I'm not going to get super greedy on the puck line. I think I can see this game being 2-1, 3-2. I don't think they necessarily go crazy, but I absolutely love it. And I'll go as so far as to say the 60-minute line plus 120. I really, really like that for the Canucks tonight. John, shame on you. Tomorrow morning. And if you say that Seattle is your best bet, by the way, we're not putting that on.
I'm not going that crazy. I'm just
okay. I'm just bugging you. Andre, what do you see here, bro?
Yeah, there's a clear divide here. One might even say fully recognized international border because I'm riding with USA in this one. Let's go crack. Let's go crack.
Let's go. True pucks across right there.
Crazy.
I think the perfect bounce back spot for the Canucks is going to be Saturday night back on home ice against the dreaded, hated Boston Bruins. I don't think it's this one. I think they got one more loss in them. The Kraken playing fine hockey. Like you said, They're just fine. 1-goal loss in OT against the Red Wings on Monday. Got a nice bit of rest entering this Thursday matchup.
Sure.
The Canucks, they're just traveling. They're just not playing well. 1 goal on Tuesday in Denver when you hold the Avalanche to 3. So bad offensive performance. We don't need to talk about Monday. We all know what happened there in that thrilling NFC playoff match. But I think Seattle pulls this one out. I think the Canucks lose one more before they head back home and win the Stanley Cup rematch that all their fans desperately want to get back.
I can't believe I'm a lone wolfing the Canucks tonight. I actually am in disbelief. I can't believe it.
Never thought you would have to say those words this season. Huh?
Yeah.
Not against Seattle. I mean,
this really is about as pucks across borders as it gets.
Yeah, this is pretty wild. I can't believe it. I'm in shock. Well, all right. Nothing more to add on that one. Let's move on.
Tomorrow will be interesting.
Oh, yeah. And I will say what you said, Andre, is absolutely true. That game against Boston is going to be awesome. Like, the Canucks got embarrassed by the Bruins last time those two teams played. So I'm really looking forward to see how they bounce back on that game. But when they do, they'll be riding a nice 1-game winning streak heading into the game against Boston. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, moving on to the last game of the evening. We've made it. We're here. Nashville continuing their road trip. They are in Los Angeles. The LA Kings are minus 155. What? So you win 5 out of 6. All of a sudden, you're minus 155 favorites against Nashville, who just beat Vegas. Plus 130 are the Predators on the road. Minus 1.5 for the Kings is plus 160. Plus 1.5 for the Preds is minus 192. The over is 6 at minus 105. The under is minus 115. Andre, right back to you, bro. What do you see here?
Yeah, I'm starting to think we treated the Kings a little too harshly, or that coaching change made a big difference, but they're playing well again. 3 of their last 4 games, they held the opponent to 1 goal. 2 of those games, they scored 5. The other 2, they only scored 2. But when you're only allowing 1, that's enough to win. So, since January 31st, subtract that game in Buffalo, whatever that was, this Kings team is playing some very good hockey. Nashville, the Cockroaches, the consistently mediocre team that they are, they're better on the road. I don't think it matters for this one. The Kings back in their groove, especially defensively. The Kings beat them 4-2 in Nashville to start this stretch on January 31st. The first time these teams met in LA, the Predators only scored 2 goals. Granted, they won, but that was when the Kings couldn't do anything right. Kings can do some stuff right again. I like Kings minus 1.5 here, and I love the under 6 goals for the total. John, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you. I know we like to call Nashville cockroaches, but I look at them as a team that can steal a win from a team that overlooks them or is not playing great going into it. And the Kings just don't fit that mold at all, in my opinion. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. They're a top 3 goaltending team in the league. I just don't think these are things Nashville has the talent to keep up with. They're a good average team capable of sneaking up on somebody, but I think the Kings are just playing too well to slip up here, plain and simple. And I think this is an opportunity for the Kings to gain some real separation in that Western Conference playoff race. Because if they win tonight, they're going to be up by, I believe, 8 points now on Nashville, who would be at best tied for 8th with a loss tonight. So I feel like the Kings strike while the iron was hot. So you have to ride the streak, in my opinion. I agree with Andre. Kings 1.5. I'm taking it.
Yeah, maybe we jumped the gun a little bit on them missing the playoffs there, Andre. This is once again, with the Wild not playing tonight, Calgary, Seattle, fighting to make a name for themselves in this wild card race. Nashville and St. Louis tied for that last spot. Kings sitting 6 points pretty. If the Preds win tonight, man, not only are they, if the Preds win and the Blues lose, not only are they in a wild card spot, but they're only 4 points back of the Kings. If we're being honest here, I do think the Kings have a better shot long term than the Preds do. Either way, one of them has to play Dallas, one of them has to play Vancouver. That's going to be tough for both of them, but especially the Preds. That being said, I have no real strong analysis. I think that you're absolutely right about the Kings. They're playing really good hockey right now. There's no way around it. But the Preds just came off a very impressive victory against Vegas. I'm feeling the Preds here, plus money. It's nothing strong. It's nothing. There's no clear-cut fact that I'm going to point to. I think that this Nashville team is much more talented than they have shown so far this year. And I think that was a very, very good win against the Golden Knights. Vegas pushed back, and Nashville stood their ground. And I still think, as well as the Kings are playing, I think that they are fickle. I just don't think that they have I don't know. There's just something about them that I'm still like, yeah, they'll probably make the playoffs at this point, but I just don't trust them night to night. So if you're giving me plus money on Nashville against the Kings, I think I'm going to lean Nashville on this one. What I'm really curious to see is Pierre-Luc Dubois and Fiala both had very good games the other night, which this Kings team desperately needs. So especially PLD, can he have 2 good games in a row? I'm really curious to see if he can just put it together for 2 straight games. Let's see what happens. Also, we did the Kings and Quentin Byfield specifically a massive disservice by not mentioning his insane goal the other night. Did you guys see that goal? Byfield's goal.
The other night. That was insane.
Oh my goodness, disgusting. John, look it up when we're done here, bro, or now. It's amazing. That goal was so nice. Maybe the goal of the year. That was a phenomenal display of talent. And they have high hopes for him, so we'll see kind of what happens. But yeah, I'm leaning Nashville. Nothing crazy, but I do think that they can get the win tonight. All right, moving on to our best bets, brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Promo code Sports Addict for 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. They still have a sale left over from their Christmas sale, cards up to 50% off. If you want a sale item or a regular priced item, it doesn't matter. You get 10% off with the promo code Sports Addict. Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing, they have it all. You can get it. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. That's the number 1, STRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, we'll go to you first, man. What is your best bet tonight?
Yeah, a lot of good games.
Yeah,
only a few bets that really grip me, that really make me go, yeah, I gotta put some coin on that. But I'm gonna go all the way back to the beginning. In the beginning, Bettman created Washington Capitals at Tampa Bay Lightning. And I like the Lightning in Amalie Arena to pummel the Washington Capitals. Give me Tampa -1.5 at +124.
Ooh.
I know we went through this whole slate, but it's still my favorite bet from the day.
Okay. John, what about you, man? What do you see?
In pucks across borders fashion. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to give you a 100.
Oh my goodness.
Mark's face.
Was it that obvious?
I am going to stay in the West Coast in all seriousness, though. But I do disagree with you about another game out West a little bit here. I really like the Kings tonight to come up with a big win. I love the way they're playing right now. I think this is the best they've played since the new year started. And I want to strike while the iron's hot, partially because I feel like they might lose the next two games after tonight because they're playing Anaheim and Edmonton. That Anaheim one is just a sneaky rivalry game. I don't know. But I don't think Nashville matches up well with the Kings here. I don't feel like they're the type of team that can beat a team this hot. And the Kings have some of the top goaltending in the NHL. So I'm going to ride the Kings puck line in this one tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, this guy really gonna pick Seattle on best
I just like to mess with you sometimes.
Yeah, that really caught me off guard. I didn't even realize. All right. There are a few really good bets tonight. I really, really do like Cole Caulfield 5+ shots. I know that's a lot. I'm not going to take that for the best bet, but just an honorable mention, plus 170. I really, really like that bet tonight. There's a couple other ones that I really, really like as well. But I think a little bit risky, but I really like it. I do think Calgary wins tonight at home. I think plus 102 is good value for a good team. Not great, but a good team who is playing a very tired Boston team. I think a lot of the money coming in on Boston this morning is recency biased. I think if you watched that game last night, you know that game was exhausting just to watch. Never mind play. I really do think that Calgary gets the W tonight. Going a little bit above my head here, but I do like it. Plus 102 to beat Calgary. Plus 102 to beat Boston on the money line.
Well, we're locked and loaded, boys. Covering 3 different start times. Nice stagger little we got going here. First up at 7, we got Tampa Bay Lightning minus 1.5 against the Capitals. That's plus 124. Moving to the 9 o'clock, we got the Calgary Flames over the Boston Bruins at plus 102 on their home ice. Then the final puck drop of the night in LA, we got the Kings minus 1.5 against the Predators. That is plus 160. Parlayed together, the Pucks Across Borders crew has a plus 1076 parlay.
I was going to say that has to be 4 digits.
That's right.
There we go. I promise I'll try to get on the board tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love it. I believe in you. I know you can do it. You're picking a best bet that I directly disagree with, but you know what, man? I believe in you and I ride it. I'm going to ride it. I'm going to bet it. I will. I've already placed a bunch of bets, but I haven't bet Nashville yet, so I'll bet it. I'll support it. I believe in us tonight, boys. Sweep. We've been tiptoeing, man. 2 for 3, 2 for 3, 2 for 3. We're getting there. And I believe in us tonight. Everybody, as always, thank you so much for watching, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching later on in your day, wherever, whenever. We appreciate you. Follow us on all socials. Like, subscribe on YouTube, the whole deal. Thank you to Total Apex Sport. Check out the full slate. Andre will be talking basketball later in the afternoon over there. Once again, thank you so much. Good luck on your bets, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Go hard.